Greetings and welcome to the lesson. Today we are going to outline the roles of the board in promoting ethical conduct. The roles of the board in promoting ethical conduct. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to outline the roles of the board in promoting ethical conduct. And by the board, we are referring to the board of directors who play a crucial role in promoting ethical conduct within an organization. And their actions and decisions set the tone for the entire company and influence the behavior of employees at all levels. So you are going to categorize the roles of the board in the following groups. The first one is establishing and upholding ethical standards. Establishing and upholding ethical standards. Now, the board establishes and upholds ethical standards by one, developing a code of ethics. Develop a code of ethics. First of all, it is the role of the board to develop a code of ethics. The board should establish a comprehensive code of ethics that outlines the company's values, principles, and expected behavior for all employees. And the code should be communicated clearly to all employees and reinforced regularly. So that's the first role that the board plays. Establish and uphold ethical standards by one, developing a code of ethics. Two, set the tone at the top. This is the tone of ethical conduct. The board is required to set the tone of ethical conduct at the top, to be an example. The board should lead by example, demonstrating ethical behavior in their own actions and decisions, and they should uphold the highest standards of integrity, transparency, honesty in their interactions with the stakeholders. Lead by example. Setting the tone at the top means leading by example. Then the third way of establishing and upholding ethical standards is by way of monitoring compliance. Monitor compliance. Monitor compliance. The board should establish mechanisms to monitor compliance with the code of ethics, because you first develop the code, then communicate this code of ethics to all the employees. Then the board should put in place mechanisms to check if the employees are adhering to this code of ethics. There should be regular mechanisms to monitor compliance with the code, and that may involve regular audits, reporting mechanisms, whistleblower protection actions, and so on. Number two, the second category is ensuring effective oversight. The board of directors should ensure effective oversight, and that is done by overseeing management, oversee management. The board should actively oversee the actions of management to ensure they are aligned with the company's ethical values and goals. And that involves reviewing management's performance, evaluating their decision-making processes, and holding them accountable for upholding ethical standards, overseeing management. Two, establish a culture of accountability. Establish a culture of accountability. The board should foster a culture of accountability throughout the organization where employees are held responsible for their actions and they are held accountable for their decisions. And that can be achieved through performance evaluations, rewards, sanctions, and clear communication of expectations. Establish a culture of accountability. That is the role of the board. Three, maintain independence. To the role of the board to maintain independence, the board members should maintain independence from management and avoid conflicts of interest, because that then allows them to objectively evaluate a management performance and make decisions that are in the best interest of the company and in the best interest of the stakeholders. The board has a role to maintain independence in promoting ethical conduct, because you recall we just said that the board should oversee management. The board can only oversee management if it is independent of management. So the board should maintain high level of independence so that it can be able to oversee management in promoting ethical conduct. Moving on to the third category is promoting ethical decision making. Promoting ethical decision making. Promoting ethical decision making. How does the board promote ethical decision making? One is by providing guidance and support. That is the role of the board. Provide guidance and support. The board should provide guidance and support to management on ethical issues and ethical dilemmas. And that may involve establishing ethical committees, providing training and education on ethical principles, and also offering resources for ethical decision making. The board should support and guide the management, because the management is a team of individuals in a company who oversee the day-to-day operations of the company. It is the role of the management to ensure that employees adhere to the ethical code, and therefore the board should help management, should support management, should offer and provide support and guidance to management by way of providing resources, by establishing ethical committees, providing training and education on ethical principles, and offering resources for ethical decision making. Provide guidance. Two, encourage ethical dialogue. Encourage ethical dialogue. The board should encourage open and honest dialogue about ethical issues within the organization, and that can be achieved through regular board meetings, discussions with the management, and also engagement with stakeholders. C, reward ethical behavior. It is the role of the board to reward ethical behavior. That's one way to promote ethical decision making. The board should recognize and reward employees who demonstrate ethical behavior, because that can be done, and that can be done through formal recognition programs, promotions, and other incentives rewarding ethical behavior. Number 4 is responding to ethical lapses. It is the role of the board to respond to ethical lapses, and the board responds to ethical lapses by investigating and addressing violations, investigate and respond or address violations. Investigate and address violations. The board should promptly and thoroughly investigate any allegations of ethical violations, and if violations are found, the board should take appropriate disciplinary action and implement measures to prevent future occurrences. That is one way to respond to ethical lapses. Investigate and respond. Let me use address. Investigate and address violations. It's the role of the board to investigate and to address violations. That's one way to respond to ethical lapses. 2, communicate transparently. Communicate transparently. The board should communicate transparently with stakeholders about any ethical lapses and the steps taken to address the lapses. This helps maintain trust and credibility with stakeholders, and it also demonstrates the company's commitment to ethical behavior. 3, learn from mistakes. It is the role of the board to learn from mistakes, and the board responds to ethical lapses by learning from mistakes. The board should review ethical lapses as opportunities. All right, the board should view ethical lapses as opportunities, and these are opportunities for learning and improvement. The board should analyze the root causes of violations and implement measures to strengthen the company's ethical culture and prevent similar issues from happening again. So these are the roles of the board in promoting ethical conduct. The first one is to develop a code of ethics. The board should then set the tone at the top. Number 3, it is the role of the board to monitor compliance. In the second category of roles, we have ensuring effective oversight. It is the role of the board to oversee the oversight of management. Number 2, establishing a culture of accountability. That's the role of the board in promoting ethical conduct. The board should also maintain independence. The board has a role to maintain independence from management. Number 3, we have promoting ethical decision making. That is the role of the board, and the board promotes ethical decision making by providing guidance and support, by encouraging ethical dialogue, and also rewarding ethical behavior. That's the role of the board. The board also responds to ethical lapses, and that it does by way of investigating and addressing violations, by communicating transparently, and learning from previous lapses, using lapses as opportunities to improve. That is the role of the board. That is the end of the lesson. Here is your today's assignment. The role of the board in promoting ethical conduct. 1. What are the specific responsibilities of the board of directors in overseeing ethical conduct within a company? 2. How can the board establish strong ethical tone and promote culture of integrity? 3. What mechanisms can the board put in place to monitor and assess ethical risks and compliance? 4. How should the board respond to ethical lapses or misconduct within the organization? I'll meet you in our next session where we will study defining business ethics as a subtopic of ethical behavior. The subject is corporate governance and ethics. Bye.